everyone. Welcome to Session 3 of our seminar series, Wiring Your Business for Profit. Hard Hat Industry Solutions sponsored a recent national survey of electrical contractors. The survey revealed that 29% of those surveyed had growing businesses, while the rest stayed the same or shrunk. We want you to be among those contractors who are profitable and successful. Our seminar is designed to show you how to increase your business profits immediately and grow your company efficiently. Hello, my name is John Kelsey. I'm an industry consultant and the national trainer for Hard Hat Industry Solutions, developers of Rhino, a web-based electrical estimating software program. I'm a 25-year veteran of the electrical construction industry. Our goal for this seminar, Wiring Your Business for Profit, is for you to learn how to make more money and run your business more efficiently by teaching you the key business concepts that make successful contractors. These concepts include management principles, proven winning sales strategies, useful industry standards, and the latest in tools and technology. Today we are working on Session 3 of 5. Each session is divided into 2 segments, business concepts and tools and technology. I recommend you complete the sessions in order 1 through 5 because Session 1 is an overview and the subsequent sessions build on each other. Let me take 1 minute to tell you about Rhino, the tool we will use to apply the key business concepts you are learning. To apply the concepts covered in this seminar, you need the right tools. Let me illustrate my point. I can teach someone about knocking out holes in a panel, but unless they use a knockout punch, they cannot apply what I teach them. In the same way, we can discuss an estimate review, but without the right technology tool, you will not grow your business. Rhino is just such a tool. I know why Rhino is a good tool for your business growth, but you can see this for yourself as we move through our series. Okay, now let's get started with our key business concepts from Session 3. As per the instructions in our setup email, you should have printed out the 5 handouts and have them in front of you at this time. If you have not yet printed them out, please pause the video and do so now. Handout 1 presents the key business concepts. Handouts 2 and 3 are material takeoff examples for our exercises. And handouts 4 and 5 are examples of direct job expenses and subcontractor expenses. First, I will cover Handout 1 and present our key business concepts, then move to tools and technology and use our remaining handouts. Now look at Handout 1. Follow along with me and fill in the blanks. Today's session begins with a business term which sounds very complex. Number 1, business process re-engineering. You can find the definition of this term in Wikipedia online. It says, in management, an approach aiming at improvements by means of elevating efficiency and effectiveness of the business process that exist in organizations. The key to BPR is for organizations to look at their business process from a clean slate perspective and determine how they can best construct these processes to improve how they conduct business. Okay, now that we know the definition, it sounds even more complicated. But let's not allow that to short out our fuses. What BPR means to you is, take the time and look at how you do business day to day and make regular improvements to save time and money. Besides time, this will call for some analysis, common sense, and business knowledge. We will look at some examples as we move forward. Some non-business people think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this philosophy is not always true. You know, a truck which is maintained regularly will perform better than one that is not. This is even more true of your business. Why BPR? Because these improvements will make your business perform better by lowering your costs and increasing your profit. So, where should you be looking? Look for any process in your business where the time or money you spend in the improvement increases your profit more than the improvement cost. Okay, so how do you accomplish this goal? Through 3 steps. First, start BPR by making sure you know how each part of your business works today. Understand your current process and tasks. If you don't understand how your business is supposed to work, it will certainly be more difficult to know how it's not working right now, let alone how to improve it. You might say you can't know everything. True, but you have to know more about your business and your employees and set time aside to learn more if you expect to grow. But what if it's an area you know nothing about, say computers? Get someone you trust who has experience to teach you. Second, calculate the time or money required to make an improvement and estimate the time or money saved. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you consider your work time to be worth $75 an hour, and you have a young electrician working for you that you bill out at $50 an hour, though he costs you $30 an hour. So, for every hour he works for you, you profit $20. Now you observe that he installs a particular panel in 3 hours, and that is what you will always bill your customer for. Because of your experience, it takes you only 2 hours to do the same job. Should you do the job yourself instead, or apply BPR? You should do both, but teach your young electrician how to do it the right way in the process. So, you invest 2 hours of your time worth $150, but look at what you get back. The next time he does the same job, you charge 3 hours or $150 and pay him for 2 hours worked or $60. Your profit on that job is $90. By the second job, you're way ahead of the game. This is business process reengineering in the electrical contracting world. There's an old saying that says, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. But wouldn't you know, this does not apply to a business owner. Third, the BPR can be applied by either using the same person for the task, another person, or completing the task with an efficient tool. Determine who should be responsible for the improvement. Maybe my previous example was a little too obvious if you had a lot of field experience and have trained a lot of guys. So let's look at a different example. If you are preparing estimates manually, you're doing yourself and your business a disservice. Your time is much too valuable. Get someone else or get help from a good tool to handle estimating cost effectively. Then you can focus on more important things like getting new customers and completing your projects on time under budget. Now we will move on to our next business concept. Number 2, overlooked factors in estimates. In estimating, the devil is in the detail only if you don't look at details and take them into account. So we will look at 2 important factors which are often overlooked. Review non-productive labor costs. Factor in costs for non-productive labor in all job estimates. Non-productive labor refers to the guys on your team that do not wear tools. This includes general foremen, superintendents, or delivery personnel on your payroll. Sometimes these people get lost in the shuffle. They are not part of your office overhead, but they are missed as a direct cost on the job. Now here's a business rule to ensure profitability. Mark up all subcontractor work. Why? There are often hidden expenses associated with their work. And if there are no hidden expenses, you picked up a few dollars for your trouble. Add 10 to 20% for overhead and profit on top of the subcontractor's quote. Always, period. I am surprised at how many electrical contractors just throw in subcontractors' quotes at cost. Why should you mark up these if they are doing all the work, you might ask? Because most subcontracted work really does require work on your part. For instance, if you require a subcontractor to pour concrete for light poles in the parking lot, it is likely that one of your crew must lay out the pole locations. And that layout work is on your dime. Again, when you are required to hire a subcontractor for high voltage work, datacom, concrete work, concrete coring or fire seals, any subcontractor, always mark up their price. Now it's time for us to move on to learning some winning sales strategies which will help you to get business in the door. Number 3, use price psychology. Have you ever heard of the psychology of less than a dollar pricing? This is the strategy of pricing an item or service just below a multiplier of 10. Whether the number is 99 cents, $9.99, $9,995, this price is always more appealing than rounding up. It is strange and interesting how this practice affects people's buying decisions. A great amount of research has been conducted to understand this phenomenon. The fact that all major corporations use this pricing strategy is proof enough that it works. Consider this. If your complete bid comes to $10,050, lower your price just enough to be at $99.95 or $99.97. Under 10,000 is much more appealing than over 10,000. Use a within budget strategy. Here's how this works. Let's say you have a close relationship with your customer and he tells you that he has a budget of $9,000 for electrical. Using the example above, if your estimate totals $99.95, then your price appears within budget. On the other hand, a price of $10,050 seems out of budget. Here's another way to apply the within budget strategy. Let's assume that your customer's job has many non-essential extras and that your estimate with these extras puts you above the budget. If this is the case, break down your estimate into two parts, one with the essential work below budget and another with just the extras. This gives him a choice of selecting just the essentials and keeping it within budget or having you do everything. Let your customer choose between your option 1 and option 2, not between you and a competitor. It's amazing how often these two strategies have worked for me. They will give you a psychological advantage with your customer when bidding jobs. This completes the Business Concepts handout. Next, we will look at our Tools and Technology segment using the Red Rhino program to apply the business concepts, winning sales strategies, and industry standards covered until now. Soon we will log on to Red Rhino, but first, gather your handouts for the next segment of our seminar. I assume you also have your username and password on hand. If you're missing anything, pause this session and gather what you need. Please close all applications like any email programs, Excel or Word, but keep your browser or Internet Explorer open. By now, you should have your handouts, username, and password in front of you. First, open a new browser window and let's go to Red Rhino. You may recall from previous sessions that I must assume that you, my audience, are experienced electricians that know how to read blueprints and prepare a material takeoff. Again, you do not need to have experience using software programs. You will learn how to use a program as part of this seminar series. Remember your two options for our next segment. First option, you can listen to my step-by-step instructions and follow along using your own computer browser navigating as I do. Or, second option, you can listen and watch the video without following along, so you can come back to your computer later and practice at your own pace. Now, back to your browser. In your new window, type rr.hardhatis.com. Again, type rr.hardhatis.com. You should now see the login page to Red Rhino. You should be familiar with our login page already. Next, enter your username and password and click on the little circle with an arrow on it to the right of your password. Now you should be on the Red Rhino home page, the central control panel for Red Rhino. We know a growing business requires regular business process re-engineering, which means looking for ways to improve your business process, making them more efficient. In today's segment on Tools and Technology, we'll first focus on how you can leverage existing forms created by experts. Second, we will learn how to quickly and effectively navigate through Red Rhino's estimating components to save time and money. This is our last session, which requires entering materials into Red Rhino. Red Rhino provides you with several time-saving material takeoff forms, which are available on this home page. Let's take a look at them. Look on the right side of the home page and scroll down till you see a box named Forms. Inside the Forms box is a list of forms Red Rhino provides for different types of material takeoffs and estimate costing. By clicking on the form name, the form will open in a PDF format which you can print whenever needed. The top left form is a master takeoff, below that is direct job expenses, panel takeoff, subcontractor expense, transformer takeoff, etc. The master takeoff A form is for an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. The master takeoff B form is for an 11.5 by 17 paper. Make sure you have 11.5 by 17 paper loaded into your printer if you choose the Form B, or it will print too small to read on an 8.5 by 11. We will take a moment and look at the four of these forms to better understand how they are used and how they help you. First, let's print the Master Takeoff A form. Click on the Master Takeoff A, and it will open up a PDF document displaying the takeoff form. Proceed to print it out. I cannot give you specific information on printing because this depends on the software your computer has to view and print PDF documents. Rhino forms were developed to speed up material takeoffs. To use them, simply print them out and fill in the blanks as you walk the job or review the blueprints. Then, take the completed forms to your computer and enter the information into Red Rhino, checking off each item on the far right side of the sheet so you keep track of your progress. You should recognize the master takeoff form you just printed. We've used it for many of the seminar handouts with numbers and descriptions filled in as examples. The master takeoff sheet is for items such as conduit runs, junction boxes, devices, etc. Let's look at the other forms now, so please return to the Red Rhino home page. If you are using Acrobat Reader for your PDF documents through your browser, click the Web Browser Back button, which is the left arrow at the top left of the page, and that should get you back to the home page. From the home page, in the Forms box, click on Direct Job Expense Form. Print it out if you wish, though you should be able to follow along just by looking at it on the screen. This second form for direct job expenses should be self-explanatory. You simply write down the expenses for the job and then input the information into Rhino in the expense page for the corresponding estimate. Look at this form and notice at the top left of the sheet is the word expense, and below is a list of expenses. To the right of the word expense are blocks with the word section in them. If your estimate has several sections, write the name of each section here and separate your expenses by section. This form is designed for efficiency. We will talk more about sections in a few minutes. Each form is designed so you do not have to rewrite repetitive information which applies to every job each time you're doing a takeoff. The expenses listed on the form are in alphabetical order, the same order as the expenses listed in Red Rhino. This makes it easy to transfer them from paper to Red Rhino. Handout 5 is an example of the complete direct job expense form, which we will use to input some materials shortly. Now return to the home page to look for another form. Now we will take a look at the last two forms that we will review today. There are two forms related to electrical panels. They are panel takeoff and switchboard takeoff. The panel takeoff form is for smaller panels from 100 amps to 400 amps and includes circuit breakers. The switchboard takeoff form is for larger panels from 800 amps to 4,000 amps and also includes circuit breakers. Click on Panel Takeoff and we'll look at it first. Like all Red Rhino forms, the panel takeoff form is designed to speed up the material takeoff process by including the essential information on the form. On this form, you fill in the section where each panel or breaker is located at the top to the right of the word material. Now return to the home page to look at another form. From the home page forms box, let's click on the last form to review, the switchboard takeoff form. As you look at the switchboard takeoff form, notice it has a blank space where you'll fill in the amperage for the different panel sections, such as underground pull section, service section, and distribution section. Let me explain something to you about switchgear takeoffs. It's important to count switchgear for each section and input this information into Rhino because every piece of switchboard requires installation labor. By inputting the switchgear from each section, you account for all the switchgear labor in your estimate. This completes our forms review. You can look at other forms at your convenience. Next, we will work with handouts 2, 3, and 4 to enter some materials, better understand other business concepts, and become more skilled at navigating Red Rhino. We now return to the home page. From the home page, click on View My Estimates to land on the Estimate List page. As a reminder, this is where all your estimates are listed, including your estimate pipeline. Now let's drill into an estimate. Click on Estimate Sample Session 3. Let's say that you're estimating a job and you want to break down the price. You might break it down to make your estimates more easily understood or to show greater work detail to give your customer more confidence in your ability to deliver. In today's exercise, I'm going to show you how to change the name of an existing section and create a new section. We will assume that you previously created one section which contains the correct information, but the section name is not adequate. We will rename the existing section, calling it Switchgear, and create the second section to be named Office. First, we will change the name of the existing section named Blueprint E1 to Switchgear. On the far left of the page, under the word Section, locate and click on the underlined Blueprint E1. At the far right of the section page, click on the Edit button. Click in the section name box and change the name of the section to Switchgear. Click the Save button on the far right. This action will return us to the estimate page. Notice your section has been renamed from Blueprint E1 to Switchgear. Now we will create a new section named Office. Click on the New button on the far right. Click in the section name box. Just backspace and delete the default section name that is there and type in the word Office. Before naming your estimate sections, determine how your customer may want the sections breakdown or consider how your estimate might seem most competitive. For instance, if your customer has not specified the breakdown and there's a particular project section that you know is important to him which you can install for a great price, break it down accordingly. Apply price psychology by showing the well-priced section separately. By planning in advance the sections you want to show, you can be more efficient in your takeoff, separating all materials to be included in each section on separate forms. Now follow me as we use handouts 2 through 4 and input materials into both sections, starting with handout 2 for the switchgear section. Be ready to input a fair amount of materials. This will be a real-world practice and will make you proficient in the use of an estimating system, so it can become second nature to create estimates and build a healthy pipeline. Look on your screen for the section we renamed Switchgear. On the same row, click on the underlined word Edit under the Takeoff column. We now see the Takeoff input page. Look at Handout 2, Item 1, the PVC 4-inch. Click on the Wizards button in the upper left corner. Click the circle to the right of the Conduit Wizard and let's input the PVC as shown on your takeoff sheet. The Conduit Wizard defaults to PVC, so let's go to the Size drop-down and select 4-inch. Next, click the Find button. Click the Application drop-down and select Underground. Click in the Run Length box and type in 220 feet. Click in the number of runs and type in number 2 for 2 runs. Click in the top wire drop-down and select 500 CU for 500 MCM copper wire. Click in the number of box and type in 3 for 3 wires. Click the second wire drop-down and select number 1/0 CU for the ground wire. Click in the number of box and type in the number 1. Next, click in the makeup box and type in the number 5 for 5 feet of makeup. You will recall that Red Rhino adds extra wire for makeup length to go from the end of the conduit to the point where the wire gets terminated. Next, click in the L's QTY box for number of PVC 90s that are in the run. Type in the number 6 for 6 90s as shown on your takeoff sheet. To the right of the L's quantity box, click on the L's or ELLS type drop-down. You'll notice that you have different choices of the PVC 90-degree bends to select from. Click on the bottom one, which is a PVC 40 sweep 4-inch by 4 foot by 90 degree. Next, click the Add button at the top of the pop-up. And Click the Save button. Now we will set up a reminder for a quote received from a subcontractor. Click on the Add Comment button. In the description box, type in C subcontract for trench and backfill. Again, type in C subcontract for trench and backfill. Next, click Save. I recommend inputting the dollars for the trenching and concrete subcontractors next, so it will not be forgotten. We will go to the expense side of Rhino to input those dollars now. As shown on the handout 5, the subcontractor expense sheet, let's assume that you received pricing from a trenching contractor and a concrete contractor. The trenching contractor is going to be responsible for trenching, backfill, and compaction. The concrete contractor is going to do the required concrete work for your project. Click the Navigation Back button to return to the estimate page. From the estimate page, find Switchgear on the left side under the section heading. Look across that row for the Other Expense column. Click the underlined view below the Other Expense column. We just moved to Section Expense page. Look down the left side, third box from the top where it says Subcontract for Section Switchgear. Go over to the right and click the Create button. It will be the third Create button down from the top. This is your subcontractor expense page. Scroll down a bit if you need and click on number 11, which is trenching. Type in $3,700 as shown on the takeoff sheet. Once you input this price in the program, it will apply your subcontractor markup. Next, click the Save button. We return to the section expense page, and next we will enter the dollars for a concrete subcontractor. Scroll down until you see Subcontract for Section, and click on the number 1 for concrete work. On this new page, type in $2,456 and click Save. Click the Navigation Back button on the right, which returns you to the estimate. Notice we're jumping around a bit. It's pretty common during the estimate process to get information piecemeal from your subs or to think about other items you should include while in the middle of inputting. As you can see, our example reflects the real world. By jumping around like this, you get used to navigating Red Rhino and become more skilled. Remember, if you get lost, just click on the Home button at the top, the circle with the little house in it. From there, you can always find your way back to any estimate. Let's go back to the estimate and input more materials. Now we will input the next items 14 through 16 on Handout 2, the sample takeoff sheet. Click on Edit under Takeoff in the Switchgear section. Items 14 through 16 are quoted materials for the panel. At the top left of the Takeoff input page, click on the drop-down to the left of the Wizards button and select Product. We locate 8,000 electrical labor only to input the 800 amp panel and components. Click the plus sign to the left of 8,000. Click 11006 Gear and Gear Supports. Remember the unsquinch method? It helps you to better view the products below the product catalog. Watch and follow along. See the slide bar below the Resources button at the top left of the screen? Left-click on the right border of the slide bar and pull it over to the right until you have a good view of the products in the box at the bottom left. Adjust it so everything is unsquinched and you can read it. Scroll down till you see the 800 amp UG or underground pull section. Click in the box and type the quantity of 1. Next, we will locate and input the 800 amp service section. Again, scroll down till you see the 800 amp service section and type in the quantity of 1. Scroll down again till you see the 800 amp distribution section and type in the quantity of 1 also. Next, click the Add button and click Save at the top of the Takeoff Input page. Next, we will use the Breaker Wizard to input the breakers for the 800 amp panel. Click on the Wizards button. Go ahead and re-squinch back over so you can see the entire takeoff sheet on the right if possible. Click on the little arrow by the Breaker Wizard. You will select the size and number of poles and quantity of each breaker listed on Handout 2, our material takeoff sheet. Click the Amps drop-down and select 90 amps. Click Number of Poles and select 3. All of the breakers on the Material Takeoff Handout 2 are 3-pole. Click the Find button and the 90 amp breaker will populate below Products. Click in the Quantity box and type in the quantity of 1. Click the Add button and it will populate to the material sheet. Let me explain why you input breakers. When you receive the breakers quote with the 800 amp panel, the quote would likely include the breakers installed at the factory and therefore be shipped pre-installed. The reason you want to count them and add them in this program is to include labor to terminate the wires to the breakers. Notice that the program does not require the breaker's voltage or brand, it simply needs the count of breakers to include labor for the wire termination. Look at Handout 3 takeoff sheet to input the rest of the breakers. I'll talk you through the next one, and then I suggest you pause the video to input the rest of them yourself. Let's input the two 225 amp breakers next. Click on the Amps drop-down and select 225. The number of poles should still be 3, but if not, change it to 3-pole. And click the Find button. Next, click in the Quantity box and type in the number 2. Then click the Add button. Now I will input the rest of the breakers without talking you through each step. I recommend you enter them too on your own if you're following along using Red Rhino. If you need more time, you can click the Pause button on the video. Start the video again when you're done. I assume you're finished inputting the breakers, so we'll move ahead. Click the red X at the top of the pop-up to close it. Next, we will navigate to Other Expenses to enter the quote for the 800 amp panel. Before navigating away, click the Save button. Next, click the Back button and you'll return to the estimate page. Now we repeat some previous steps. From the estimate page, find switchgear on the left side under the section heading again. Look across that row for Other Expense column. Click the underlined view below the Other Expense column. We have returned to the familiar Section Expense page. On the left side, the second block down from the top, find the quotes for section switchgear. On the far right, click on the Create button. As the quotes page opens, you will see items 1 through 9 under Quotes for Section Switchgear. The list starts with number 1 Active Components, number 2 Closet, and number 3 Data Equipment. Click on the underlined number 9 to input the price quoted for switchgear. Click in the description box and type in 800 amp panel and breakers. Again, type in 800 amp panel and breakers. I'm also typing in gray bar Jim Johnson to make a note of who quoted this price. Let me take a second to explain something about writing notes in your estimates. After you have created dozens of estimates, you tend to get amnesia about many details on a particular estimate. You may not remember who quoted you the best price on a specific panel, and you would have to go back through all your paperwork to refresh your memory. If you write reminders, you'll have the information on hand when you need it, and won't need to rely on your memory or time-consuming paper shuffling. Making notes is a business practice that adds efficiency to how you conduct business. Also, if others in your company work with your estimate, the notes guide them to the source of information as well. I cannot stress enough the time-saving benefit of making notes throughout your estimate to remind yourself of details. Enough said about that. Now let's return to entering the switchgear quote. Click in the amount box and replace the zeros by typing in the number 5,383. Again, type in 5,383 as shown on handout 2. Click the Save button on the right. Next, click the Back button and we return to the estimate. Next, we will input the materials to the Office section. Click on Edit for Office section. We're back to our Takeoff input page, this time to enter material for the Office section. Now we will input materials from Handout 3, our Office Takeoff sheet. We'll input some device and light fixture assemblies beginning with Item 1, 20 amp receptacles. Click the drop-down to the left of Wizards button and select Assemblies. Click the little plus sign next to the number 14 receptacles and it will open up and show you 4 different receptacles. Notice that this list is a list of plug or receptacle assemblies. Each one listed shows what type of plug plate is included with the assembly. Number 14.1 receptacles assembly has plastic plug plates. Number 14.2 receptacles, stainless, means stainless steel plug plates, etc. Next, click on 14.1 receptacles, plastic, and I'll make a further distinction about the receptacle assemblies listed. Go ahead and unsquinch the box below so you have a good view of it. Left-click on the right border of the slide bar and pull it over to the right. On the bottom left, if you scroll down, you'll see 36 different receptacle assemblies listed. Look at the first assembly. Notice the 1 in parenthesis? It shows how many receptacles are included in the assembly. Some assemblies have 1 plug and some have 2 plugs. Also notice that it is a 15 amp specification 1 grade or spec grade receptacle 120 volt. The PL stands for plastic plate and frame means the J box for the framed wall. Now let's make a further observation. Included in this list of assemblies, there are standard grade receptacles, Spec 1 and Spec 2 grade receptacles. There are assemblies with GFI receptacles and isolated ground or IG receptacles. It's also worthy to note that some of the assemblies have junction boxes for framed walls and some are for cut-in receptacles. So let me break down the options you have for plug assemblies. You can either choose 1 or 2 plugs, either standard, spec, Spec 2 grade. You can select either GFI receptacles or isolated ground receptacles, 15 amp or 20 amp receptacles, and choose from either a junction box for a framed wall, a cut-in J box, or a weatherproof type box. Now allow me to explain how knowing the parts list in Red Rhino Wizards and Assemblies saves you time. First, let's say that you know that Red Rhino has an assembly for a double duplex outlet and that this assembly parts list includes 1 4S junction box, the 2-gang plaster ring, 2 standard grade 20 amp receptacles, a mounting box bracket, and 2-gang plate. Armed with this knowledge, during your takeoff, you simply count double duplex outlet assemblies and write down the total quantity, instead of counting each individual item separately. This means that you spend much less time doing material takeoff. Second, with assembly counts in hand, 75 to 85% of the entire estimate can be entered into Red Rhino using the Wizards and Assemblies, and this is 2 to 3 times faster than entering each material item separately. So less time in data entry or input. Not to mention that you don't have to spend time calculating installation labor. 15 minutes here plus 3/4 hour there on each estimate begins to add up really fast. You don't need to memorize every assembly, but do familiarize yourself with those that you would use most commonly. Your time is very valuable, so use assemblies and wizards whenever possible. You'll be glad you did. Okay, let's get back to entering the materials from handout 3, the 20 amp receptacles. Scroll down to number 31, 2 duplex receptacles, standard 20 amp. Click in the box to the right and type in the quantity of 47, like on your takeoff sheet. Just below that is number 32 GFI cut-in. Click in the box to the right and type in the quantity of 2. Scroll the scroll bar to the top and click Add. From the Assemblies catalog, click on number 17, which is surface mount 4S boxes with industrial covers. Look down at number 3 and click in the box next to it and enter the quantity of 8. Above that, number 2 is 1 receptacle 20 amp standard. Type in the quantity of 6. Again, click the Add button. Next, we will input the 4S and 5S boxes in blanks. From the Assembly catalog, click on number 11, which is 4S box assemblies. Notice the different 4S box assemblies. Those with blank cover, 1-gang rings, 2-gang rings, and light rings. Click in the box to the right of the blank cover one, type in the quantity of 42, and click the Add button. Next, from the Assembly catalog, click on Assembly number 16, which is 5S boxes. Do the same thing. Click in the box and type in the quantity of 27 and click Add. Now click the Save button at the top of the takeoff page. Here's a caution about saving your work. It's not necessary to click the Save button each time you add materials. You can literally add hundreds of lines of materials before you click the Save button. But if you try to navigate away from the takeoff input page without saving your work, Rhino will give you a warning to say something like, "Are you sure you want to navigate away from this page?" If you click OK to navigate away, it will not save your input and you'll lose it all. The same could happen if your internet connection is interrupted before you click the Save button. Since it's so easy to click the Save button, I do it often. Next, we will input the light fixtures. Unsquinch the box to get a better view if needed. Look at the handout 3 takeoff sheet again. Starting with item number 10 is a list of light fixtures. We will just plow through these quickly. We'll input all the quantities before we click the Add button. Follow along now. Click on the plus sign to the left of the number 10 fixtures in the Assembly catalog. Click in the box to the right of 101 recessed fluorescent fixtures. Click in the box to the right of 101 2x4 fluorescent lay-in parabolic and type in the quantity of 24. Next, click in the box next to 102 2x2 fixtures and type in the number 10. Scroll down till you see 117 2x4 fluorescent with battery, type in the number 7. Scroll down till you see 118 2x2 fluorescent with battery, type in the number 5. Scroll down till you see 134 fluorescent downlight, type in the number 5. Scroll down till you see 135 fluorescent wall wash and type in the number 8. Scroll up and click the Add button. Next, we will go find the 8-foot strip lights. From the Assembly catalog, click on 201 surface fluorescent fixtures. Scroll down till you see number 207, click in the box and type in the number 10. Scroll down till you see number 209, click in the box and type in the number 4. click in the box by 8-foot strip light fixtures with battery and type in the quantity of 4. Again, scroll up and click the Add button. Now, click the Save button at the top of the page. Here are a couple observations about the fixture assemblies. Notice that the price of the fixture is not included in these assemblies. That is because light fixtures are commonly quoted by your supplier. If you do not want to handle the light fixtures as separately quoted items with your supplier price on hand, you can enter the price for each fixture. Also, the labor is set at a fixed amount for each assembly. All this can be edited as needed. Let's assume that you got a price for just one light fixture type separate from your lighting quote. You want to input the price of the light fixture, but you also want to adjust the labor down some because you believe that your crew can install the particular light fixture faster than the program shows for labor. Let's do that now. Click on line 2, which should be 2x4 fluorescent lay-in parabolic, and it will highlight in gray. If that is not what you have on line 2, that's okay. Just click on any line that says light fixtures, and it will highlight in gray. Next, click the Edit button, which will open up the boxes that allow you to edit. Click in the box under Unit Price. Let's say you got a price from your supplier for $56 for this light fixture type. Type in the number 56. Next, click in the box under Labor Hours. You will see a pop-up window about changing this product, which I will explain later. Just click OK and you can edit the amount. This program has 0.63 hours for installing the light fixture, which is about 38 minutes. Let's say you believe your crew can install the lights in just a half an hour, so backspace or delete the 0.63 and type in 0.5, which adjusts the labor to half an hour. Then click the Save. Repeat this process until you have adjusted the assemblies to the labor you want. Here's another observation regarding lighting. Most of the fixture assemblies have lamps or light bulbs included in the assembly. If you have the lamps included in the price of your fixture quote, which is often the case, then you'll want to go through the takeoff input page to delete the lines containing lamps. So we will do just that and delete the lines that contain lamps. I'll show you how to delete several lines at the same time. When you hold down your Control button and click on Lines on the Takeoff Input page, the program allows several lines to be edited at the same time. Let's try it. Hold down the Control button on your keyboard and click on 3 of the lines that contain lamps. Let off the Control button and click the Delete button, and all lines that you highlighted will be deleted. Next, click the Save button. If you navigate away from this page without clicking Save, it will not delete the items. We're back to the estimate page. Now we will enter expenses from the handout 4, the Direct Job Expense form. You will notice that the expenses have been separated on the sheet by section. First, we'll input the expenses in the switchgear section. Click the underlined word View corresponding to the switchgear section under Other Expense. Look down the left side, third box from the top where it says Expenses for Section Switchgear. Go over to the right and click the Create button. It will be the top Create button. Click on number 14 for Permit. Click in the box and type in number 230 for permit fees, $230. Next, click Save. Next, click on number 7 for forklift rental. In the new window, type in $300 for forklift rental, as shown on the sheet. The forklift is required to move the switchgear. Click the Save button at the far right. Next, click on any navigation back button on the right side of the page, and you'll land back at the estimate page. We will now add expenses for the office section. Click the underlined word View under Other Expense corresponding to the office section. Now that I've shown you step by step how to input expenses, I'll go ahead and input the dollars for permit and scaffolds without talking you through every detail. After saving your work, click any back button on the far right and you'll go back to the estimate page. The next steps in the estimate process would be the bid review, the recap, and the proposal development. We will save these steps for our next session, Session 4. This concludes our segment on tools and technology for today. In this session, Session 3, we covered the new key business, sales, and industry concepts about electrical contracting. We also looked at how to leverage the forms Red Rhino provides to become more efficient with your takeoffs, how to take advantage of Red Rhino's wizards and assemblies to greatly reduce the time it takes to prepare an estimate, and why separating your estimate into sections can be beneficial for both you and your customer. I recommend you practice using Red Rhino. You have full access to this great software during the trial period. Just log on anytime. My name is John Kelsey. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me at 866-444-7411, or you can email me at johnk@hardhatis.com. Again, that's johnk@hardhatis.com. It's been my great pleasure presenting this session to you. Use these business concepts to improve your company, apply the winning sales strategies, and leverage what you have learned to grow your company profitably.